Amway President Rich DeVos has spoken to hundreds of thousands of distributors and non-distributors about becoming a success by making the effort. On this talk titled Try or Cry, he also points out the uselessness and futility of complaining about one's lot in life. He's speaking to a standing-room-only Amway rally in Fort Lauderdale.
We would like to say a special word of thanks to the people who are standing, who are willing to come and endure this for an hour. I can only tell you that you are probably better off than the people who are seated. You're in training tonight for when you start to run your own meetings and have to stand up all evening, so you got a little head start on the people who are seated tonight. Because you are, we're just going to get swinging along tonight here on a little subject called Try or Cry. I got into this subject off a while back because I've listened over all these years to people who come and, like you, look at this business, sit in a room like this, and for some reason beyond my utter comprehension are unable to see themselves actually progressing in this business. Whether you get an Amway is not the most important thing we're going to discuss here tonight. I don't know whether you belong in Amway. I don't know whether Amway's your thing or not. I don't know whether you could make a nickel in Amway or whether you'll lose $1. You might lose as much as $3 in Amway if you really took the whole plunge and, really gambled on this thing. The whole point that I want to make with you is that not only do I not know what you could do with Amway, you don't know what you could do with Amway. And the reason some of you will never know what you might have done with this business or any other business that you might have wanted to get into is because you spent all your life talking about if only it ever happened, one of these days is gone, and you better get on with it now or shut up. People in general, and the great majority of people, talk about those opportunities, dream about things, but are unable, because they won't discipline themselves, to make something happen. So tonight I'm going to ask you to either try this business one step at a time in a very simple way, or I want you to stop crying about it. Okay? Either actually try to do something. Now, don't tell me you signed up 3 years ago. There are some of you in this business who signed up 3 years ago. You haven't tried yet. You remind me of a fellow I used to sponsor. He lived out in the great state of Montana. He was a wonderful fellow, tall, good-looking guy. He had a family. He used to sign all his letters. He'd say, "Your Western Horizon." That's before we had a distributor west of Grand Rapids anywhere. And always he'd write these beautiful letters every week. And he'd say, "Dear Rich, this week we're going to get back on the road to success. But the only problem is my mother-in-law came to visit. And I've got to show her around the mountains. But as soon as she leaves, we will be back on the main highway to success." And he'd always sign his letters, "Your Western Horizon." And it always was P.S. Please hold a check for 1 week. This true story. In the following week, this guy writes, "Dear Rich, this is the week we're going to go. We just discovered, however, that my wife is pregnant. And now I've got to get the room done upstairs, but as soon as I get that finished, I'm going to get out and make those calls, get me some customers, start holding some meetings, and we'll be back on the main road to success. Sincerely, your Western Horizon. P.S. Please hold a check for 2 weeks." Well, the following week the letter would come, and "Dear Rich, I'm sorry, this week I'm off on the shoulder of the road again. But as soon as we get the house painted and get that thing done, I'll be back on the main road to success. P.S. Please hold a check, your Western Horizon." His series of letters ran for 2 solid years. Always the Western Horizon, always some problem got in his way. It was either his car was broken down, he had to fix that, or something was wrong with the house, or something wrong with the weather, the snowstorm came, or it was too hot, he had to take the family on a vacation, and he was always saying, now I'm on the detour, but when I get off this detour, I'll be back on the main road. Sometimes he was on the side road, sometimes he was on the shoulder, but he never got on the road to success. And the last letter said, P.S. please hold the check for 2 weeks after you ship me the soap. Wonderful guy. But I wonder, and he's still a wonderful guy. I have nothing against people who don't get in Amway. And that's why I'm very sincere in this talk. I have nothing against you if you don't join this organization. I just want a commitment out of you. If you're not going to get off it and do something about it, then shut up about it. Now that's straight talk. Don't go sobbing to your buddies when you come home from work every night and say, one of these days I'm going to really make something out of my life. One of these days I'm going to get in a business of my own. Boy, I'll tell you someday. Listen, have the beer, enjoy the day, and forget it. You haven't got enough guts to get away from the television set to go to a meeting most of the time. Listen, you love the boob tube? Ride it till it dies. Till the last flicker flicks and you shut it down for the night and somebody wakes you up and says, go to bed now. And they crank you off to work in the morning and you say, oh, I'm so glad to have a job. It's so wonderful to be able to work. Baloney. You know what you do. You come to work grumbling, another day. How's it going? What's it in? You know, some of you got a problem right now. I don't care what your dream is. If you've ever dared to dream about doing greater things, somebody is going to tell you why you can't do it. This world is filled with people who have been telling everybody else why you can't do it. But I think you're going to be bugged, and I hope you are for the rest of your life, about the fact that you will never know what you could have done because you never tried. You know, when we sat in the basement and started this organization, we did some very simple things. We haven't strayed too much from them. We said we wanted to build a business that anybody could start, no matter who they were, where they came from, what their education, what their color, what their religion. We just didn't care. Because we believed that most people, given a chance, would do something with it. If we could but get them to make those first stumbling, stuttering, fear-filled steps forward. Some of you people in this room, I know what you're hung up on. You're all hung up on the idea of being in the soap business. So, some guy says, I sell soap. I said, who are you kidding? You know. Didn't you ever hear of Procter & Gamble, Lever Brothers, Cheer, No Cheer, Blue Tide, Out Tide, In Tide? Didn't you ever hear of all that? Who are you kidding? You couldn't try and sell stuff. And the mere mockery. More people have failed to move ahead from mockery than from a lack of ability, I assure you. Because they couldn't stand somebody. You want to know why we sell soap? You really want to know why I'm proud I sell soap? Because people buy soap. I can't think of a better reason in the world. Really. To some of you, that's a shock. See? You know, somebody says, oh, I sell used cars. Well, good. Well, you sell all new cars. That's all right. I don't care. You know, that's good. Nice and shiny, big thing out there. You know what? I got in the soap business. I don't got no trade-ins. Hey, you know what else? You know, they buy soap every month. Not just once every few years. How you like that? You know what else? I haven't lost any customer yet because the finance company wouldn't take the deal. Isn't that something? That's why I sell soap. We sat in the basement at that time and said, let's get a product that anybody can sell. Now, that means you sell something that's used in every home on a regular basis. Listen, we've tried a lot of things. We sold fallout shelters at one time in Amway. We've sold battery additives that save batteries. We sold electric generators. We had some of our people say, oh, I like big deals, you know. So they start selling, we got a lot of water conditioners. Amway water conditioners, wonderful thing. And then some of these guys, that was big stuff, $400 deals. Well, then they couldn't get financing. See? Well, then you got them in. The day I decided to quit the water conditioning business, was in this gal called me at 2 in the morning. She said, well, you told me to call if I ever had any trouble. It's making funny noises down there. Well, I'd like to have you come over and check it. It was 2 in the morning. Hey, that's what I like about the soap business. I haven't had anybody call me because it didn't work right at 2 in the morning. Then, you know, what I'm trying to tell you is get rid of the hang-up. Because the selling of basic commodity items is where it's at. We are involved in a multi-billion-dollar industry. People have talked to me about saturation in Amway. At no place, to my knowledge, in this country have we got more than 1% of the business. We have less percentages of the business today than we had 10 years ago. You want to know why? For those of you that get hung up, you know, some of you are concerned tonight. When you were invited here, somebody said, oh, there'll be 1,000 people there. You said, we'll go along, but we'll have a good excuse because there'll be just a few people there, and then we can say, well, we don't want to get into that thing because, you know, it isn't going too good. Well, here you are, standing room only, 2,500 people. Now your argument's all shot down. You don't know what you're going to tell this guy who brought you on the way home now. Tell him it's too late. You're not going to get in now. That'll save you. Now relax. It's all right. Hey, there isn't a person in this room who's going to try and talk you in this business. But that's part of trying and crying. Otherwise, we might have trained you and started helping you make money and got you on the road to success. Just tell us straight out you don't want any of our business. No kidding. It's all right. But that's part of deciding which way you want to go. Now, I happen to believe the soap business is a good business. Somewhere over $10 billion are sold. That's like the day I was sitting in New York, and the president of Avon was on one side, and the president of Fuller Brush on the other side. I was speaking for a banquet. The president of Avon says, man, you guys got it made. He says, you get both husbands and wives involved, don't you? I said, yeah, you're getting the idea, man. Over here is the president of Fuller. He says, you guys got it made. You got both the husbands and wives involved in this thing. He says, yeah, you're getting it all figured out. But you see, we are in a market that is unlimited. We use family units. And I don't believe there is any other business going in America that implies and involves the concept of a family working together like we do. And in our opinion, it's one of the most vital and important and most wonderful things of the Amway business. Because we've tried to build our line in such a way that both husbands and wives can get involved with it. And when you sell the kind of products we have in Amway, they're the kind of products that not only anybody can do, regardless of mental or physical characteristics or age or color, all the other things we know about, but they're important because they can be done by and assisted by your children. Grandma can help, Mama can help, Papa can help. Everybody can work together in the Amway business. We kid about soap because it's part of the joke, you know, you become known for certain things. But, you know, the lines of cosmetics and the car care products and, 150 different items that you can offer as a part of your Amway program. But, when we got all through messing around with the water softeners and the fallout shelters and the generators, and everybody wanted to sell the big-ticket stuff and the fancy stuff and the high-price stuff, we just kept watching something for those first few years. It all kept coming back to where they were selling all the soap. We would recruit people who wouldn't think of selling soap. Oh, they'd get in, they want to sell generators, water conditioners. And the first thing you know, after they were in Amway for 6 months, they're selling the soap. For the very simple reason. It was easy to sell, and people were buying it. And thick or thin, good days, bad days, most people still use soap. It doesn't seem to have too much of a variation on the economic situation. So we love the soap business. I recommend it to you very highly. Some of you are also a little bit hung up on the idea of being in the direct selling business. You've been talking all your life about getting in business, but, here you are tonight, nose to nose with a chance finally to get in business, and your pride's got you stumbling all over your feet. You're worried about the fact that you're going to sell soap, don't tell me. That door-to-door thing, who you kidding? You're all worried about it. Well, first of all, you ought to understand something. We don't go door to door. We only sell to people that we have appointments with, people that we've already been invited in to see. We only call on people we know. So this is not a door-to-door business. Please don't go door to door. Sell it the way the Amway plan tells you to do it and share it with other people. You see, that's the other part of that soap business. Some of you in this room are good enough to sell cars, encyclopedias, or $500 get-you-ma-goochits to anybody you want to. Well, you know, when you go out to recruit people, then you better think about the soap business again, because the soap business says that maybe you can sell the trickier and higher priced things, but there's thousands of other people who can't. And if you want to build a larger organization, then you find people and a product that more people can sell than the other kind of thing. You're all worried about, selling soap and calling on people and say, oh, I want a gas station, or I want to run a camera shop. I'd like to get in the men's clothing business. That's what I'm going to do one of these days. And the people come to me and real like a big shot. I'll be a big man in the community. Most of you, that's nothing but mouth. You haven't got the 4,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 or 40,000 it's going to take you to get in those businesses. You don't have to lower your dream, but get into a business wherein you can start now. Because every day you wait about when you can get enough money to open that men's clothing store, or when you can buy your own garbage truck and cover this one end of town and start yourself in the garbage business, or when you can do that hat shop, or want to run a hippie thing, beach thing down here on the beach, and one of these days you're going to do that. One of these days is now. Like today. You can be in business of your own this very day. Isn't that something exciting? My father always said two things. I never forgot them. Neither Jay nor I have ever worked for anybody from when we got out of the Army and the Air Force in World War II. He worked in his dad's garage during World War II, and while he was in high school, I worked in a men's clothing store. But from that day on, we never worked for another person again, because we were beat upon by Jay's father and my father. The families knew each other too. And all my dad kept saying to me is, whatever you do, boy, get in it on your own. Get in business for yourself. So you see, that was built into me. And some of you in this room have had that little gnawing thing, but you've been kidding yourself. You're always waiting for that right deal to come along. Listen, let me tell you something. This is that right deal right now. And if it wasn't, I don't know what you can do with it, but I know one thing. If you don't try this one, you won't try the next one. And when we found an opportunity presented to us at every point in the road, we took it and did the best we could with what we had at that time. That didn't mean that was the ultimate for us or where we were going, but we never stopped trying with what we had to do it with. And you're in this room tonight because somebody's brought you here and somebody says, here's something you can try. Now do it. I'm not trying to sell you anything. You understand that? Not for me. Listen, don't get in this business for me or because I gave you a hard pitch. I'm going to eat okay tomorrow, whether you get in this business or whether you don't. I'm here for one reason, and so is Jay. Because we have a commitment to make this country a better place and to make opportunity live for more people. And that's our goal. And that's what we work on. And so, listen. And if we after all these years get a little rough and tell it to you straight, we don't have any time to mess around. Time's moving, folks. And your life is moving. And you got to get on with it. And we want you to get on with it for you, because it can do such great things in your life. Don't get hung up on whether you're going to sell our way. Your choices in selling are either standing behind the counter waiting for people to come to you, or taking products and bringing it to them. Well, I just happen to think it's better to deliver than to wait for people to come and pick it up. Now, if you can get over that stumbling block, instead of writing ads in the newspapers and trying to lure people in through my store and then try and show them something I can get them to buy, what's so wrong with taking your little store and bringing it to the customer and showing him what you got? That's the only difference you do in Amway. So don't get hung up on selling. Listen, selling's what makes this whole world go round. There are a lot of people who look down on people who are in sales. I've listened to guys, we get people who work in our factory at 80, they say, oh, I know, that's selling. Who wants to be a salesman? I was looking at them and I say, I'll tell you somebody better, you won't be working. Because there isn't a person in this room who works in this country who wouldn't be working if somebody didn't sell the merchandise. Because nothing happens until somebody sells something. That's the moving force that has put this country on top of the economic scale in this world. And bear this in mind, there's not one penny in it for the guy or gal who brought you here until you make dollars. There's no profit in the Amway business for the act of recruiting. There's no money in it just because we sell you a kid or get you signed up. That's a non-profit. And they won't make anything out of you until you start to make something for yourself. That's the whole twist of Amway. It's all geared around loving and sharing, and when I help you, then I get something. But there's no way in the Amway business where I get a bunch of it and then I hope you can unload it. Amway was built on a very simple philosophy, and that is that you don't profit until the person you bring in profits first. When you make it, I make it. When you profit, I profit. And it's been a fantastic thing to see people show that love and concern for somebody else to make it all happen. Well, have you dared dream? You poked around with that nice house. You want to get over here on the beach someplace. You want to be on the canal. You've talked about having a newer car. You'd like to drive a new Cadillac. You'd like to send your kids to better schools. You've all thought some of those things, I hope. And some of you don't know how to get there. I got a way for you. It comes in a little package, and all you do is try. Well, can you do it? I don't know. But let me tell you what we did. We started out following World War II. We went in the aviation business. There was a little airport on the north end of Grand Rapids. A man was opening it up. He needed somebody to run the air services at that airport. Jay and I took my $700 I had in the bank. My dad took it, gave it to Jay. We bought our first airplane. We started in the aviation business. One Piper Cub. Went down the bank, borrowed the rest of the money. We're off and running. We're in business. The only thing we found out as soon as we got our money involved is the airport wasn't completed, so we couldn't fly on it yet. We did the next best thing. We bought some floats and ran it on the river and started giving lessons. We had students graduate on floats before they ever landed an airplane on land. Because we didn't sit down and cry about it. We did what we had to do at that time to make it happen. And there's some of you people in this room who have been out and you've tried to recruit a few people. Well, I got Mary in, but Mary didn't do nothing, and Pete didn't do nothing. Well, so what? That's their problem, not yours. You don't make people successful. Hey, man. I can't make anybody in this room successful. All I can make is it possible for you to succeed if you'll do something about it. I can't sell it for you. I can't recruit it for you. You got to do it. But I'm honored that I could have a chance to offer it to you. But now it's your choice. Well, we moved ahead in the aviation business. They were supposed to have an office, but it wasn't done. So we went over and bought a chicken coop from a farmer, cleaned it out, whitewashed it, and we had an office. And we flew off that river. You should know something else. Neither Jay nor I knew how to fly. That's an important point. It turned out to be the greatest benefit we had. We had two other guys in that airport running aviation services. Both of them were pilots and instructors. They'd take a student up, teach him how to fly. We'd hire a pilot. He'd go out, fly that one. We'd go out, and 3 more students we'd get. Yeah, we tended to the sales side of the business. We soon had a dozen instructors working for us. After about 3 years, we got out of that business, and we bought this 40-foot schooner up in Connecticut at that time and started sailing for the Caribbean. We were going to take our great adventure before we got married and settled down. We were going to see a little bit of the world, cruise through the islands of the Caribbean on to South America, and be gone a year for the great adventure. Well, the only problem with that was we started out, we bought the boat, started down the East Coast. You should realize up till this time, neither Jay nor I had ever been on a sailboat. Book in one hand, tiller in the other. We ran her aground all the way down the East Coast of the United States. We still got the logbook, aground again. We got so lost in New Jersey that it took the Coast Guard 8 hours. We weren't in the ocean. We were inland someplace. 8 hours to find us. We missed 2 turns on the intercoastal, and we got some bayou up in there. Coast Guard finally found us. We'd called at night because we got stuck the previous night someplace. He said, look, we've been looking for you all day. He said, you aren't where you think you are at all. You missed a turn back there 5 miles. He says, no boat that draws that much water has ever been up in here. We finally got here, as you know, got over to Havana, Cuba, Caybarien, Matanzas. We sank out in the old Bahama Channel off the north coast of Cuba. Not very dramatically. It just leaked and went down. But It's laying there in about 1,500 feet of water off the north coast of Cuba. Everybody in Michigan, when they got the news, we didn't even bother to write home when we sank. Well, the paper was wet. No. We didn't figure that my folks would know. Jay's folk, we said, nobody will know we sank out here. The only problem is that it'd been on the radio, Associated Press had it. 3 days later, we finally sent them a letter. We didn't even bother to call when we got to Puerto Rico. We didn't think anybody knew anyway. Oh, by that time, all the vets at home, those kids will come home now. You know what? We never thought of coming home. We were going to the islands in South America. So we just kept on going. Our boat was gone, so we went another way. We hopped a tramp tanker, and we flew airlines, rode river boats, eventually went all the way around South America, came back home, because that's what we'd set out to do. You getting the message? How would we ever know if we could succeed in the aviation business until we tried the aviation business? How would we ever know whether you could sail a boat until you try and sail one? How do you ever know if you're going to be able to sell soap until you try selling some? How do you know whether you could ever be a leader of an organization of hundreds of people until you try and recruit one? Somebody says, I could never recruit 50 people. You don't got to recruit 50 people. You only recruit one person 50 different times. It's all one at a time. So, I couldn't sell 100 people. You only sell one. And then a two, and then a three, onesie, twosie, threesie. Ever watch Sun Sesame Street on television? Great program. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, A, B, C, D, D. Repetition over and over and over again. Beautiful. That's what it's all about. You can do this thing if you just set out to do it. Well, we try the restaurant business, and for those of you that are in the restaurant business, I give you a few words of advice. Get out. Good for you, not for me, man. I tell you, standing around there waiting. The worst thing about the restaurant business is everybody gets hungry at the same time. And if you could only spread that deal out. If some mental breakfast clock would get at 6, some 7, some 8, some 9, some 10, man, you'd have a steady flow of business. They all descend on you at one time, and then they all leave you. They all want the things you're out of. We used to run a hamburger stand. First drive-in restaurant in Grand Rapids. Well, we'd seen one in California. Thought we ought to try one of those things. Cute place. We had the customer fill in his own menu, flipped electric switches on, put it out there. One night Jay would cook. Next night I'd cook. And the other one would hop the cars. We even built a building by ourselves. Beautiful building. Opening night, announced it in the newspapers. Everything's ready to go. The only problem is the power company never came and hooked us up. Tragedy. We rushed down, rented a generator, and opened, just like we said we would. Because you find a way to do things if you wanted to. So outside the building sits this old generator running to beat the band, pumping up the old lights, and about halfway through the night, everything, running again, roaring, dump the gas in, lights come back on again, we're open for the rest of the night. How do you know until you try? Used to rent canoes with radios. We lost the first 4 radios. After that, we tied them in. But you learn those things after a while. That doesn't take too long. We all learn by what we're doing. We used to be in the toy business. That's a wonderful business at Christmas time. If you got a product that people buy at Christmas time. We made rocking horses. Wonderful invention. You get on this thing, you rock it back and forth, rock up forward. There's some little wheels on the front. Every time you rock forward, you'd move forward. That was the same year this outfit down in Kentucky came out with a Wonder Horse. That beautiful molded plywood. Ours was, a slab of wood with a dowel through the head, hanging on springs and those little crazy wheels. We sold 4 of them. We'd made thousands of them. I still live up north because I'm still burning some of those parts in my fireplace. True story. Well, we get into the Amway business, We've been in this business, basic business, for 20-some years now. Jay and I sat in a meeting like you're sitting in August of 1949 with another company. Room wasn't nearly as big as this. There were 200 people there. We decided to give it a try. Didn't know if we could do it. Said we're going to try. On the way home, we made our first sale. Stopped to see a man, sold him some product. Held a meeting in our living room. Every once in a while, somebody says to me, hey, there's a whole new way to promote Amway. You have meetings in your living room. I says, no kidding. That's a new plan, huh? Yeah. Man, that really works. Is that right? Then, listen, that's only 22 years old. First meeting we ever had, we invited our friends in. Sound different? Well, we didn't have blackboards because we didn't know how to talk and didn't know the plan. So I took the sales manual out and read it to them. So that's how it works, man. What do you think about it? You know what? We recruited some people that night. Not as elegant as some of you, not as smooth. We don't have all the fancy jokes, the cute sayings, the great gestures, the big smile, the dramatic closes. We just read it from the manual, so here it is. You know what? They sign up that way too. Those who want to will, and those who don't won't. Despite some of your great eloquence, if you were so cotton-picking great, how come everybody you know doesn't sign up? Because they're not ready, I guess. There comes a time in your life when you're ready for this thing. Some of you tonight are being entertained. Some of you are seriously coming down to a point and say, doggone it, I'm through belly aching. I'm going to get on with it, see what I can do. We stayed with that company for 10 solid years. We built a very successful distributorship. So we sell soap. We sell it because people buy it. More important, because you can succeed at selling. It's a program that's within the grasp of any individual who's serious about moving ahead in business in this room. If you've ever thought about getting in business, if you've ever been serious about getting ahead, if you've been crying all your life about missed opportunities and a chance to make it happen, then tonight you're nose to nose with a very simple confrontation. Are you willing to try it or aren't you? You know, when we started Amway, it had never been tried either. We didn't know if you could sell these products this way. Nobody had ever done it. Some of you are sitting in this room tonight, you're acting like we're still on trial. You came to this room and said, well, I'm going to see if that Amway thing is any good. I'm going to tell you something. Amway's good. That's not the argument. The only question is tonight whether you're good enough for Amway. That's the truth. Hey, really. Hey, our story is history. I don't have to apologize for my sob sisters. This is a multi-million-dollar business. There's 150,000 people like you across this country who sell Amway products. Listen, it's not a question of whether Amway's going to make it. It's not a question of whether Amway products are any good. It's not a question of whether Amway products can be sold. That's all old stuff. It's only a question tonight of whether you're going to get in it and do it for you. That's the only real question. The others are pure technical arguments. You can engage in them all. So, well, do you think this thing will ever get off the ground? Do you think people will buy those products? What are you talking about? Don't waste your time with me on nothing. Somebody says, do you think that plan will work? Not a question of whether the plan will work. It's a question of whether you'll work the plan. The real question tonight is you. Do you seriously want to try and make it happen? Today, standing back of you at Amway is a factory of over 700,000 square feet. We produce aerosol cans at the rate of 4 a second off one of the most modern aerosol lines in the United States. We have people from all over the world come and observe the Amway aerosol production facility. It's a magnificent thing. Our new powder production takes your SA8 from complete automated trains and blows it into the hopper straight to production. And all the way through automated high-speed production lines, our liquid lines produce quarts and gallons of liquid-contained products. Our quart line today moves from pellets of plastic all the way through bottle manufacturing machines without being touched, feed automatically into the same line. Without ever stopping, they go through producing of the bottle, on into the filling, the capping, the labeling, and putting them in the carton. All in one continual feed line. It's the only line like it in the United States. We produce from pellets to finished product at the rate of 120 a minute. Listen, don't you worry about where we stand and what's back of you. Our research spends millions in product and improvement and new products to help you do a better job. We have one customer, and that's you. Some of you don't know that. You've never dealt with a company like Amway with the kind of integrity it got, and I don't apologize. We don't have any other customers. We don't have any other source of revenue but you. Every dollar worth of business comes through you. The company won't even recruit a man if he comes into the door and says, Rich, I want to get an Amway. I've been a friend of yours since high school. You must have a place for me. I say, I have no place for you. You go out and find somebody in the field and sign with them. We don't sign anybody. Listen, tonight it's nose to nose as to what you're going to do with it. You know what? If you don't like the kit and what else you buy, we'll give you your money back. Can you take that kind of a risk? We don't want you to take any risk beyond that. I'm serious, dead serious. We want you to have a chance to be somebody and to do the kind of things you always dared hope could happen, but always seem to happen to the other guy. Well, I tell you, you live in some country where you and I can sit in a meeting and even talk about this. We live in a land that allows you and I to tell it like it is. I've been trying to put it to you straight, not because I don't love you, but because I find if I tell it to you like it is, maybe some of you will move. Listen, if you don't want to get in, we love you. Do your job, wherever you work. Do it well. Be thankful you got a good job. Work hard at it. Do the best you can to progress in that job. You will. When you see the guys you work with say, good morning, great to be here, thankful for this place to work, I'm so happy here. Listen, stop the belly aching or get out of it, or start to make plans to build your Amway business so you can get out of it. But stop the crabbing all day long if you're going to work there. Work there and be grateful for it and do the best thing you know how to do. You'll start to get promotions. You'll move ahead. I don't care if you're a student in school. You can't get ahead if you spend all your time tearing everything down. You don't have any time to think positively about moving if you do that. You got to get on with it and turn your mind around and say, I'm going to find ways to do it because I'm going to try. I can't talk to you about the guy next to you. What he does or doesn't do isn't the subject here. It's you and your sponsor who got to work this thing out. Don't let the guy next to you scare you out of this tonight. Say, oh, I don't know, I never done anything. Listen, most of us never done anything. And the way you're going, you'll never do anything either. That really counts. 1-to-1. Make that little choice to try or stop crying about it. You make a commitment to this business and people you couldn't sponsor last week will sign up this week. Some of you have been in this business a while and you say you can't recruit. I know why you can't recruit, because you don't believe yet. And I'll tell you, a guy looks you in the eye and he knows you don't believe. He knows you're just playing games. Now, you make up your mind to really give this thing all you got and really try. And I'll tell you, the guy will come back to me tomorrow and say, what happened to you anyway? Say, I decided to get on with it. He said, I better get in before I miss the boat, man. He'll join you because of your excitement and your momentum, because you've made up your mind. Just promise me you'll try. Really try. And I promise you we'll stand behind you in every way we can. We won't do it for you. Nobody can do it for you. We don't believe in doing it for you. Because you see, if we do it for you, then the other guy gets the credit, not you, and you'll always still be insecure. You tomorrow get that kit, read through it, try to sell somebody also. After you do that, try and do a little recruiting. Hold that first meeting in your house. Just try. Thanks for putting up with us. We'll see you later.